Hey everybody, what's up? What's going on? Welcome back to True Ambition Fitness. Today is a Q&A here on the Blind Focus series. The reason I say it that way is because one, these are frequently asked questions that have been asked to me on Periscope. And it's more of an actual introduction video. A lot of people have been asking me to introduce myself to you guys. So that's probably the first thing I'm going to do in this video is introduce you guys to who I am. Then I'm also going to tell you how I lost my eyesight. A lot of people have been asking me, how do I lose my eyesight? People out there want to know on actual YouTube, not just through Periscope. So I'm going to do that on here. And then I am going to also tell you guys how my wife and kids reacted to me losing my eyesight. And then finally, at the end, I'm going to tell you guys what are my thoughts on blindness itself, like the actual disability and how people perceive it. If you're curious, go ahead and stay tuned to True Ambition Fitness. Okay, so let's get started. My name is Aaron Sands. I'm a 27-year-old natural bodybuilder. I'm a father of two beautiful girls and happily married to a beautiful, beautiful woman. That's exactly how I introduce myself to people on Periscope almost daily. I do blind guy Q&As quite a bit. And one of the most common questions is, are you blind? Or how did you lose your eyesight? Well, I'm a United States Army veteran, and that's actually how I lost my eyesight, serving in the United States Army. But a lot of people say, oh, did you get shot, or did this, or an explosion, IED? No, mine was just pure accident and coincidence. So I was serving, getting ready to go overseas. I wasn't over in Iraq, I wasn't over in Afghanistan, I wasn't even in anywhere close to a war zone. I was actually getting ready. I was training. We were training 8 to 12 hours a day, full kit, which meant we had our, what you guys call a bulletproof vest and a whole bunch of bags, carrying people around, doing all that. By the way, everybody, I'm sorry about the birds. It's beautiful outside, so I decided to film out here. But a lot of people seriously want to know, how did I lose my eyesight? Well, like I said, I was training, and what ended up happening was I just got heat exhaustion. I got really, really tired really, really quick because we had been training so long. And I hate to say it, but I was taking too much on at one time. A lot of people out there who know me will say I like to take a lot on at one time. And what I was doing when I was in the Army, I was not only taking on my position, my job, learning my things, I also wanted to help other people out in doing that. That's one thing I love to do, but at the same time, I exhausted myself. I got heat exhaustion, and what ended up happening was I was heading back into my barracks, headed up the stairs, running up there, getting ready to go take a shower, finish my day, get to the top of the stairs. I went up 4 flights because that's the floor I lived on, and there was no elevator because it's the Army, and well, they're just like, hey, you can walk. So I got to the top of the stairs, and I'm like, what the heck? And I felt weird. I'm like, I feel kinda, and then next thing I know, I'm waking up on the floor, and I have like a stutter, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Well, what ended up happening is I passed out. When I passed out, I hit my head on an open face electrical box. It's actually a circuit box to my right. I got a pretty good shock. I actually was twitching a little bit, and it blew me away from, well, the actual electricity is what blew me away. My muscle spazzing is what threw me away from the wall, but I hit my head pretty hard, and I ended up having what's called TBI, traumatic brain injury from it. And it's just a weird amount of all these different coincidences, all these different things happening that ended up having me get hurt. But the thing is, I didn't lose my eyesight immediately. Like I said, I just had a stutter. And that was just because of all my muscles and everything still being a bug just hit me in the forehead. All these different things were happening to me, with electricity and losing consciousness, and next thing you know, my muscles felt kind of tense, so I had a stutter and I had some inflammation back here. Well, the inflammation just kept building behind my optical nerves, and actually my stutter went away after about 2 weeks. But then my vision started going slowly, and the next thing I know, I woke up one night and I really could not see. I was scared, extremely scared. I had another private take me down to CQ, which is basically a 24-hour duty where somebody sits there on a desk and just ensures that everybody's either being good, performing right, doing their thing, or if an incident happens where somebody gets hurt, there's somebody to go to. Well, that's what happened. We went to them. They took me to the emergency room. The emergency room basically just looks at me and they're like, we don't know what's wrong. You're faking it. I'm like, no, sir, I'm not. They took me to an optometrist. The optometrist there, which is an Army doctor again, goes, I can't find out what's wrong. I don't know what's going on. Your eyes look completely fine. And I'm like, well, there's got to be something wrong. There seriously has to be something wrong that's causing me to not be able to see. It took them 2 months to finally figure out what was going on. And actually what ended up happening, they brought my sergeant major, my first sergeant, my sergeant first class. We all were sitting in a room. They're all like, okay, we're going to try to either get you from malingering, or we got to find out what's going wrong with you. If you don't know what malingering is, it means you're faking it. So they didn't know what was wrong. The doctors there in the Army didn't know what was wrong. They didn't know how to go about fixing me if there was something wrong. So I was like, I want to go see a civilian doctor. I want what's called an off-post consult. It means you just go to an off-post doctor or a civilian doctor, a specialist, to find out exactly what is going on with you. And that is exactly what I did. So I went to Oklahoma City, saw a doctor there. The doctor had me seeing kind of within 3 days. I mean, it came back slowly, gradually, but my vision was pretty much back to what it was. Amazing, right? Well, what was wrong with me is I had what was called bilateral optical neuritis. Basically, it meant I had a whole bunch of swelling behind my optical nerves and I was constricting them. But since I had it for so long, it had left scar tissue. And not very much, but it left enough that, well, it's kind of constricting my nerves a little bit, but not too bad. It's kind of hard to describe because that's what they think actually caused me to lose my eyesight 3 years later, which is exactly what happened. I spent the rest of my contract serving the United States Army. I went over to Korea. I spent about a year and some change there, and then I came back stateside and I spent most of my time at Fort Bliss, Texas, which is in El Paso, Texas, if you're curious. When I was there, what then ended up happening was I did a lot of stuff. I just basically trained a lot and was getting ready to always go overseas, but we never got to go overseas because the unit I came to here was brand new and we weren't quite ready to go yet. We didn't have enough manpower. So a lot of people always ask, did I ever actually serve over in Iraq or Afghanistan? Technically, no. I have been there before, but I did not serve or do any tasks there, or no combat match, which I really wish I could have, but I never got the opportunity to do so. Okay, so the next thing that ended up happening was 2 months after 2 months after I got out of the Army, I lost my eyesight. I woke up one day and pretty much my vision was pretty well gone. I mean, that week everything had been a little blurry, but I thought it was due to stress, which actually had happened to me ever since I lost my eyesight the first time. When I get really stressed, my vision would get blurry. And they thought, well, it might have just been something pertaining to the injury that I had sustained. So, next thing I know, I lost my vision. On November 29th of 2013, which actually, if you guys look back, that is Black Friday. So on Black Friday, everything went dark. Okay, not technically dark. If you guys are ever curious on what I see, I have light perception. I can still see if a light's on or off. But the thing is, I cannot make out like the size of the light, where the light really is. I mean, I can kind of tell the direction based on the brightness, but that really is about it. I can't see colors, I can't see shapes. Shadows are limited. They have to be moving or really close to my face. So that's how I woke up, and well, I freaked out. A lot of people always ask, what was the first thing that popped into your mind? Pardon my French for those of you who aren't used to the cussing, but the first thing that popped out of my mouth was shit. I was scared. I was so freaked out just because it had happened again. You know, I knew there was a possibility. They had told me due to the injury that I had sustained and the circumstances, someday I might end up losing my vision or have troubled vision, is what they actually said. Well, guess what? It was gone. And now the doctors have come to the conclusion that it is permanent. It is permanent. And since it is permanent, the way I go about doing things is a little bit different now through the VA. But I just got that permanent stamp. It took them about 2 years to officially say, hey, yeah, we're gonna give you, yeah, it's not coming back. So that's where I'm at when me being blind. Now, one of the most common questions is, well, what exactly or how exactly did my wife react? Well, my wife, the first time, she took the reins and really kept our family together. Guess what? The second time, she did the same thing. I have a very strong wife, very beautiful wife, very strong. She's just an amazing wife. I'm lucky to have her, and what ended up happening was the second time I lost my eyesight, the time that we knew that that I'm currently blind, that, ooh, hey, it's all gone. She started working about 65 hours at work. She went from part-time to about 65 hours a week. Because I was the one who was the full-time, and then she obviously had to take over. It's basically like she had 3 kids at home. My youngest was 3 years old, my oldest was 5, and then there was me who was 25. If you think about it, that's a big baby. And I basically was. I was so lost, I was so confused, because, well, when I was in the Army before, I wasn't even allowed to see her. I was on lockdown when I lost my eyesight the first time, because I was a flight risk. They thought I might end up either committing suicide or taking off and going AWOL. I gave them no reason to think that, but that's kind of how the Army works when something like a traumatic experience like this happens to somebody. They're just taking precautions. Makes complete sense. But the second time around, my wife really took the reins. She became my rock. She still is to this day, and I'm very, very lucky to have her. Now, my youngest daughter, just about now is the time where she's actually comprehending what is going on. She has finally realized, hey, Daddy can't see. So sometimes she takes advantage of it, tries to do things and get away with it. And then also my oldest, she's the one who I would say helped Daddy out the most. Yes, my wife did most of the work, but my daughter, Claire, who's my oldest, who's 7 now, she was 5 at the time when I lost my eyesight. So she kind of comprehended. Daddy couldn't see. So what she did was she actually helped me. She walked me around. She would help me get drinks, She basically made it so I was capable of getting around our house. Because my wife had to work so much, I was alone with the kids a lot. And we had to figure out how we were going to do things. I still had to cook. And it was difficult. It was a very difficult time in my life. And my wife and my kids, they were amazing. I'm just lucky that I was very lucky to be one of those people who did not lose their wife when something like this happens. That does happen to some people out there, but I was just lucky. Now, a lot of people out there have always asked me, what are my thoughts on blindness exactly? Well, in my case, when I first lost my eyesight, I was lost, I was confused. It was a very traumatic experience, obviously, so I didn't know what to do. I've only met one person that really, when they woke up and they were blind, the first words out of his mouth was, all right, now what's the next step? What are we going to do next? How are we going to get over this? And if you're curious on like this guy, who he is, his name is Muzzy, Corey Muzzy. If you want to look him up, he has a Facebook page called Team Muzzy. Check it out. I also have a video here on my YouTube channel of me and Muzzy talking to him. He's a double amputee and he's blind. He's also a U.S. vet too, U.S. Army vet, and he is an amazing guy. He actually woke up with determination to get through this, and he's putting videos up all the time on his channel, and I'm seeing how he is so determined and ambitious and just keeps pushing forward, and I'm amazed by him. People ask me, where do you find inspiration? Well, people like him is where I find inspiration. And a lot of people say I'm inspiring. I don't really try to find myself inspiring. I try to use my story to inspire others, yes. It's just, blindness is a weird thing. It is unique to every individual because every individual is unique. So a lot of people always automatically hear you say, oh, you're blind, so you can't see me. Well, some people don't realize blindness is 20% or less vision. So that means some people still might be able to see your silhouette, the color of your shirt, or something like that. You don't know. Everybody's vision is different. It might be tunnel vision. It might be blurry on the outside. It might be blurry on the inside. It might just be distorted to all ends. Who knows exactly what type of vision that person has? Somebody might have the same exact illness or injury as somebody else and their vision is nothing alike. I mean, it might have similarities in the fact that, say it is macular degeneration, which might be kind of a tunnel vision, or just the opposite, like a dot that in the middle of your vision that is just growing and you can't see in that dot. So you might be in the same exact place as somebody else in that same exact disease, and you might not even see anywhere alike, just because it is unique to every single person. So that's the biggest thing when people ask me, what are your thoughts on blindness, or what do I really want to get out there about blindness? And that is, we all are individuals. Just like I say in the gym when I try to help people get in shape, we're all individuals. So think of it that way. When you ask somebody about their blindness, I mean, don't try to get too much into detail about it, but just realize if they say they're blind, don't automatically jump to conclusions and try to just dissect it. It ain't your place to really do so, unless they want to tell you the story about it. Like me, I would not mind telling you the story of how I lost my eyesight, or how I see. And if you're ever curious on how I see, it's pretty much like you guys do when you close your eyes. You know how you can kind of tell a light's on? Well, that's what I see, but it's brighter. So my eyes still register that there's light there, but I really can't make out anything. I can kind of tell if there's a shadow there because, well, it blocks that light. So that's a little bit of my thought process on blindness. But this is a very, very sensitive subject for some people. So when asking people, make sure you tread water. If somebody says to you, hey, I'm blind, take it for what it is and just go off that. But I think that's it, guys. I done told you a little bit about who I am. I've done told you a little bit of how I lost my eyesight. I told you about how my wife and kids adapted to me losing my eyesight. And then also a little bit about my thoughts on blindness itself. If you guys are really, really curious about anything else about me, go ahead and check out more videos on my YouTube channel here. Also, you can check me out on Instagram, Twitter, Periscope. I Periscope pretty much daily. I've already Periscoped today. By the way, today is the Sunday of Memorial Weekend. Tomorrow's Memorial Day, and I want to say one thing, and that is thank you to all those veterans out there who have served. And the biggest thanks is to all those veterans who gave that ultimate price, who have not come back home due to the fact that they were unable. But you did give us all the amount of freedom that we need, and I'm thankful for that, because if it wasn't for those people who have sacrificed that, we wouldn't have the freedoms that we do today. For instance, I went to church today, and I've been to countries where, well, for you to actually have freedom of religion isn't there. We are lucky to be in this country, and we are lucky to have people like that who have served, who have gave the ultimate price, and I want to say thank you to them. Okay, everybody, go out there, have a wonderful day. Like I said, check me out on all those social media platforms, and go out there and tell a veteran thank you on this Memorial Weekend. Please, please go out there, have a wonderful day, be ambitious. I will catch you next time. Sorry about the long video. Later.